Most people tuning AMD chips focus on the usual suspects: undervolting, maybe some extra PBO tweaking, running an XMP or Expo profile on your memory. But there's one setting that flies under the radar pretty often, and that's the F clock, or the Infinity Fabric clock. I wanted to find out if bumping it up actually makes a difference in real world gameplay, specifically in Escape from Tarkov. So I tested both the 7800 X3D and the 9800 X3D with different F clock settings, and the results are worth sharing in my opinion. So let's go take a look. For this test, I was running my Ryzen 7 9800 X3D tuned with the plus 200 MHz boost clock override and a minus 40 undervolt to get the most out of the chip. It's paired with 64 GB of DDR5 at 6000 CL30 with tightened secondary and tertiary timings. If you want all the tuning details on the system, check out the link in the upper right hand corner. Storage is handled by a Gen 5 Aorus 10K M2, and everything is running on a Gigabyte X670E Aorus Extreme motherboard. The 5070 Ti is an MSI Shadow 3X overclock model. As for the game settings, I use my Pure 80 optimized preset, which is my high texture preset for the best visual to FPS ratio. If you want to see a full breakdown on those settings, check out the video in the upper right hand corner. Each test was run 3 times per resolution, 1080, 1440, and 4K. First offline to get baseline numbers without server and network variables, and then online in live raids. I then took those averages and compared those numbers. The F clock, or the Infinity Fabric clock, basically controls how fast different parts of your AMD CPU talk to each other, like the cores, the memory, and the massive cache that makes these X3D chips so fast in games. On AMD's AM5 chips, like the 78 or 9800 X3D, this internal communication happens across something called the Infinity Fabric. It's sort of like a data highway inside the chip, so let's call the F clock the speed limit of that highway. Most AM5 X3D chips can hit 2000 MHz, no problem. By raising the F clock, you're essentially speeding up how quickly the CPU can access memory and share data between the cores. So I figured if F clock controls how fast everything inside the CPU communicates, then bumping it up should help in a game like Tarkov, where fast data movement is absolutely critical for smooth performance. So let's start with the 7800 X3D. In offline streets, bumping the F clock from 2000 to 2100 gave us a noticeable gain. Average FPS went from 117 to 124, and more importantly, the 1% lows improved from 96 to 100. 0.1% lows went up from 79 to 85. Now, those aren't massive leaps, but that was enough to make it a smoother experience with less micro stutters. In online play, that uplift held up. We saw average FPS rise from 98 to 104, but the more important result was frame time consistency. 1% lows jumped from 65 to 75, and 0.1% lows went from 57 to 66. That's about a 16% gain, and although the gameplay felt great at 2000, it did feel noticeably smoother on 2100. Moving on to the 9800 X3D, I was able to push the F clock even higher on this chip. I was able to get it up to 2200 MHz. In offline mode, moving from 2000 to 2200, the average FPS crept up slightly from 155 to 158, but the 1% lows improved from 130 to 135, and 0.1% lows jumped from 107 to 122. That's a big improvement in floor level performance. In online testing, that trend continued. Average FPS ticked up from 131 to 134, with 1% lows moving from 99 to 101, and 0.1% lows up from 85 to 91. Again, these are kind of small deltas on paper, but they add up to a noticeably more stable feel in-game. So, is it worth tuning F clock on an AM5 X3D chip? Absolutely. It's a quick setting to change that a lot of people overlook, and it made a noticeable difference even on top of the already excellent stock performance these chips deliver. In Tarkov, getting a 7 to 16% boost in 0.1% lows is nothing to sneeze at. It actually made a noticeable difference in game feel. If you want to dial in your own setup, I've got separate videos where I walk through my tuning configs for both the 7800 X3D and the 9800 X3D. So go check those out if you want to follow along. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.